Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Rebecca, and today we're going over the 2025 releases I'm most looking forward to. So this is actually my second time filming this. The first time took me hours because I went over literally every title I was interested in, and that was just way too many. So we're coming back. We've got a revised plan. Here's how this is gonna go. I'm gonna go through all the titles I'm like super hyped for, really excited for, or that I'm arc reading for, because if I requested the arc, obviously I'm excited about it. And then I'm also going to put a graphic in either at the beginning or the end of each month as I conclude the list of what I'm interested in with all of the titles that I know about for that month. So that you can kind of peruse, because they're from a wide variety. This is not just a romance list. We've got some horror, thriller, mystery, fantasy in there, some romantasy. So there's a little something for everybody. So let's get into it. First up on January 2nd is War by Miss Brittany Nicole. I actually finished this morning and I had such a good time with it. This is following Tyler Warren, who has found himself the guardian of 3 small children. Well, small-ish. One's a 14-year-old boy who he's been kind of looking after and mentoring for the last 2 years, and his mother really struggles with staying sober, and Tyler has taken it upon himself to give this boy a safe space to live. And he also has now become the guardian for Josie, who we've met in previous books. She was a cancer patient that some of the girls of the Langenfield Corp had kind of taken under their wing, and now Tyler is trying to adopt her. And then there is Josie's 2-year-old little sister, Scarlett, who has just come into their lives as well. And Tyler is known as the bruiser of the team. He literally is the defender. He is meant to be fighting. And that doesn't really look good on paper to a court when you're trying to get custody of children. So Tyler's lawyer is like, hey, you know what would really help is if you had a wife. She doesn't, in so many words, tell him to defraud a court, but that's the method he goes with. And he picks the one woman who's been driving him nuts since he met her. So we watched Ava and Tyler get together initially for the sake of the kids, and then they fall in love with each other, and it's just so beautiful. This was really heartwarming. I would say if you haven't read the other books that are in this world, if you will, so this is the 3rd Boston and Bolts hockey book, but the people from whatever that series was that was like Mother Faker, Mother Maker, I'll put photos of it here. They're also in it a little bit too, and so it's very much a giant cast of characters in addition to this new nuclear family that we're watching as well. So if you're not into found family from previous books continuing in, this may not be for you, or if you don't like having a ton of homework, but I think it's well worth the journey. Next up, we have 4 Ruined Realms by Mai Corland. This is the sequel to 5 Broken Blades, which I read and loved this fall. I actually did a video on it vlogging my experience, and I had such a good time. Because this is a continuation of that story, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about what the book is about. We now have a new task to complete a journey for, and I'm really excited. This one comes out on January 7th. And then there is a new series coming out over the course of 3 days that I'm very excited about. It is the Skyridge Hotshots, and it is done by 3 authors. Okay, so first up is Fight by Sloane St. James. This one says, Callahan, fighting wildfires is the only thing I've ever wanted to do, and I'm damn good at it. Being the captain of an interagency hotshot crew of wildland firefighters is a high risk, high reward. The risk blindsided me 5 years ago when I lost one of my crew and was changed forever. Now the only rewards I allowed are to work harder, smarter, and enjoy easy, sexy nights with strangers. Until I meet Prescott Timmons, her smart mouth and adventurous spirit have me forgetting all of my rules. Until her past shows up and lies start to feel too familiar. I swear to never spare her a second glance, but when she finds herself in a life or death situation with Mother Nature, my instincts kick in and I take action. I'm excited for this. That's the first one. That one comes out on January 7th. Then on January 9th is Protect, which is going to be written by Paisley Hope. Goodreads is being weird and it's like not loading the description, but I know it's going to follow another one of the guys in that wildfire like group. So the 3rd book is Honor by Danielle Baker. This one's going to follow Xander, who is also from that same wildfire fighting group. His best friend's little sister is going to move in next door, not only with her 2 children, but she's also very pregnant and recently widowed. And he is just kind of there to support her, but then ends up helping her in what turns out to be like an emergency home birth situation, and then he just kind of hangs around some more, and we get to watch their relationship grow. So I'm interested to see how that goes. After reading War and loving the like father by choice narrative there, I'm excited to see if that continues in that series. Okay, next up, Beg Borrow Sealed by Sarah Adams. This also comes out on January 7th. I have the arc of this and I really need to start it. This is going to follow Emily Walker and Jack Bennett, who are rival teachers who both are secret authors. They each have different pen names. Emily accidentally emails, I believe, her manuscript to her principal, which would out her as the author. I believe she's a romance author, and she enlists Jackson's help to kind of deal with that whole situation. I imagine cute little heists because they're elementary school teachers, and lots of forced proximity and fun. We are in Rome, Kentucky once again. This is book 3 of the When in Rome series, out January 7th. Next up is one I'm currently reading now and having such a good time with. This comes out January 14th. It's Flirting with Disaster by Naina Kumar. This is if Sweet Home Alabama had like an Indian American twist to it. So we follow Mina, and she and her husband Nikhil accidentally get married in a drunken night in Vegas when they've only been together for a few months. Something happens and Mina leaves Nikhil and goes off to DC, which I think was originally the plan, was for her to get her past the bar and then for them to move to DC. For whatever reason, she goes out there on her own, and through her time out there, she has met another man and is ready to make that next step with him, but she can't because she's technically still married. So she goes back home to her hometown of Houston to get her husband to sign those divorce papers. But I don't know if she just wasn't paying attention to the news or if it suddenly shifted, but there was a hurricane in the Gulf, so she's going to be stowed away in the house with her soon-to-be ex-husband. Forced proximity, the dangerous elements of a hurricane. I'm excited to see the tension and the want and the just built up emotion that comes with a second chance romance. I'm so excited. Also on January 14th is Isaac's Song by Daniel Black. This is loosely a follow-up to Don't Cry For Me. I say loosely because it's about the son from Don't Cry For Me, but is not set in that same setting. We're actually going to follow Isaac as he's moving to Chicago in, I believe, the late 80s. He is finally kind of carving out a life of his own, finding community. He is an openly gay man, which was a big peak of tension with him and his father. And there are 2 big things that are happening right now, the Rodney King attacks and the AIDS crisis. So lots going on. I expect this to be a really gripping literary fiction novel. I'm very excited for this. I believe he also ends up traveling to in their ancestral lands in Arkansas, maybe? I remember it saying something about that. So I feel like that's going to be one of those kinds of books where you kind of just like sit with it for an afternoon and you read it and then you just kind of process and it just kind of stays with you, which I really need that right now. Okay, another indie. This one is set to come out on January 20th. It's High Sticking the Heart by Mari Maravilla. I haven't read anything from her. She writes, I think, some dark romance in addition to hockey romance, and I love that she has the skills to do both. Because my best friend's obsessed with all of her books and has been trying to get me to read them, so this is the first one I'm going to dive into. This is a fake dating, like, Grumpy Sunshine situation. So we have Ariella, who decides that she's going to hook up with this 6'4" Texan who comes walking in his cowboy boots and his hat. They don't exchange any names, no numbers, no personal information. Come to find out, she's the strength and conditioning coach at the hockey team in which he is employed and plays for. His name is Dalton. And I believe now, in an effort to kind of protect themselves, they're going to fake date, because I imagine that there's a no fraternization situation. So I think the idea is if she comes into this new job already dating him, there won't be punishment. I don't know. We'll see. I love a fake dating hockey romance. You really can't go wrong with them. Next up is The Proposal by Sonora Reyes. This is going to come out on January 21st. This is the story of Alejandro and Kenny. Okay, so Alejandro is in the U.S. on a work visa, and he is about to lose that, I believe, and is trying to stay in the country. So he and his best friend decide that they're going to make a chance for security here and marry each other. So this is going to be the story of Ken and Han, short for Alejandro, kind of going through that, and then I think realizing that there's a little bit of a bi-awakening, because I believe that one of them was dating a woman already. I think Kenny was dating a woman. So I don't know if he knows that he's queer or if it's going to be kind of a surprise to him, but I'm excited to see that. I've never seen this kind of setup before, I don't think. This sounds fun. I love a good queer romance, big fan of an MM romance when done correctly and is respectful to gay men in general. That's a thing that's, you would think would be common, but it's not. And I just feel like Sonora Reyes is going to do that justice. So next up we have Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This comes out January 28th. I would say this is my most anticipated title of January. I'm so excited. So it's going to follow Sarah and Caleb Linwood, who we met in Out on a Limb. And they have been together since middle school, I think. They got married at 19, fresh out of high school. And now that they've been married for quite some time, Sarah's starting to realize that she doesn't really know who she is without Caleb. And what she's doing right now is trying to figure that out. So she's in the midst of trying to pull off this big fundraising gala, and something happens and Caleb steps in unasked and kind of saves the day. And that is a catalyst to this book. Sarah's kind of pissed about it, and she's trying to figure out who she is, how to express to Caleb what she wants or needs. And so they decide that in a desperate attempt to fix their relationship, they're going to take a spontaneous trip to this, it's this grueling, hiking trip that's intended to guide couples through rough patches. And so this Married in Trouble novel, I think, is going to be beautiful and emotional and heartbreaking, because that's what Hannah Bonham Young does. That's what she did on Out of the Limb. It nearly took me out. Fantastic time. And I think I'm going to have a good time with Out of the Woods as well. Okay, last January title, also on January 28th, is Spiral by Balcabra. I have been looking forward to this so much. And thank you to the Berkeley Gods for accepting my request. I submitted one of those forms on their... They have a page for underrepresented voices. So even if you're not in the Berkeley influencer group, you can request that. But I was really hoping to get a chance to read this, and I am going to get to, so I'm really excited. So this is going to follow Elias Westbrook, who is a newly drafted hockey player for the Toronto Thunder, and he's facing some challenges both in his fame and media scrutiny, and he's trying to deal with all of these expectations and just kind of deal. And then there is Sage Beaumont, who's an aspiring ballerina, and she's just joined the Aurora Ballet Theater, but she lacks popularity online, and that seems to be a major disadvantage in her trying to get a leading role. So she and Elias decide that they're going to fake date, because I think he needs to kind of clean up his bad boy image, and then she needs to boost her popularity. And what better way to do that with a man who can't seem to stay out of the media? Sounds like it's going to be a good time. I like that we have left the college setting that we were in for Collide and are moving into the adult world. Very, very excited about that. So first up in February, on February 4th, is the book I think we're all waiting for. It is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I have been seeing the reviews of all the girlies who are ARC reading this, and they are overwhelmingly positive. And make note that we all need to be prepared for how wet this book is going to be. No pun intended. I say that because this is a swimmer novel, but also because that was the original title of the book, was Wet. And I'm kind of sad that they made her change that, but I've heard that this is really horny and that she needed to. So we're following Scarlett Vandermeer, who's a junior at Stanford and is a student athlete who specializes in platform diving. And then there is the swim captain, who's also a world champion, all-around aquatics golden boy, Lucas Blomqvist? There is a Q and a V next to each other in that name, and that was really hard for my mouth to form the letters. It's how he wins gold medals and breaks records, complete focus with every stroke. On the surface, Lucas and Scarlett have nothing in common until a well-guarded secret slips out and everything changes. So they start an arrangement, and as pressure leading to the Olympics heats up, so does their relationship. It's supposed to just be a mutually satisfying fling, but when staying away from Lucas becomes impossible, Scarlett realizes that her heart might be treading into dangerous water. I can't wait. I freaking love Ali Hazelwood. That was a 2024 discovery for me, that she is just a new favorite. So excited. Also coming out on February 4th is a 5-star read for me. It is Unloved by Peyton Corin. This is the second book in the Undone series. The first book was Unsteady. Few things you need to know. Matt Frederick is everything. I love that sweet, sweet boy. All he needed was some love, and Rose Sharif was there to give it to him. This also is set in the exact same timeline as Unsteady. So if you read Unsteady and then you start reading Unloved, you're like, whoa. Why aren't Reese and Sadie together yet? Because all of these stories are happening at the exact same time, which is a level of emotional pain I didn't know I needed. You know what? It hurt me a lot, but all I can say to Peyton Corin is thank you. Do it to me again. Hurt my feelings again. I'm so down bad for them. I will get around to making Instagram content about this book. And I'm trying to do it in the least unhinged way possible with the way these two made me feel and the amount of quotes I highlighted out of that book. Cannot wait. So let me tell you what this is about. Matt Frederick plays on the hockey team at, I think it's Waterfall University. And he is barely scraping by with a 2.0 average. And it's not because he's dumb or he's lazy. Matt is dealing with just a trifecta of hardship when it comes to learning. He has ADHD, he's dyslexic, and he has dyscalculia. And you know what, we're going to put a fourth one on there. No one seems to care about those first three things. Professors, previous tutors, no one seems to care. No one's sticking up for him, which is absolutely wild. Until he gets Rose Sharif as a tutor. Sweet baby Rose just wants to be loved for exactly who she is. She's in this weird on-again, off-again relationship with one of Matt's ex-tutors. And he treats her like absolute garbage. And it really pissed me off throughout this book. And so then watching the juxtaposition of her dealing with, number one, his name is Donnie. Sorry out there if your name is Donnie and you're a good man. But this book ruined the name Donnie for me. No. This man was awful to her. Absolutely awful. So Matt is there and he just wants to be her friend. Okay? He thinks it's fun that he has this great effect on her where she's just like blushing every second he stares at her. But also, she is so kind to him and she sticks up for him and she doesn't believe he's dumb, which is like the first time anyone's thought that. She also is interested in him for more than his body and more than his ability to play hockey, which are two things that people only seem to care about when it comes to him. So it was just a really refreshing experience for Maddie to be around someone who wants that. And then for Ro to be around someone who does not ask her to make herself smaller. They're perfect. I love them. Please pre-order this book. Go get it. Okay, next up on February 4th as well is This Is a Love Story by Jessica Soffer. I've never read anything from her. I'm not sure if this is a debut. I think it is though. So this follows a couple who for 50 years has been coming to Central Park. They've come together as starry-eyed young lovers. They've come separately when they just needed some space or a creative outlet because they're both artists, I believe. They have come together when they needed a break from their children or to like discuss their kids without the kids around. All of these things have happened inside of Central Park. But now Jane is dying and Abe finds himself recounting their life together while sitting in Central Park. Things from their courtship and early marriage, their blossoming creative lives, and the parts they didn't always want to know. The determined young student of Abe's looking for a love story of her own, and their son Max, who believes his mother chose art over parenthood, and so he avoids love and intimacy at all costs. It's told from different points of view, including Central Park itself, which I think is really cool that it gets to be a character in the story. This sounds like it's going to be a really well-rounded literary fiction with like a romance bend to it. Next up, also February 4th, is The Black Orb by Yu and Kim. This is releasing in the US on the 4th, but is already out in other countries. This is about a man who is in South Korea who I think he goes out to smoke a cigarette and he notices this black orb kind of hovering, and then it takes his neighbor and like sucks them inside. And it just starts grabbing people. And so he runs and is trying to outrun this orb. And then we learn that the orb is basically making its way across South Korea. I think it makes its way into other countries. And so he is trying to journey to his elderly parents and attempt to like be together and like rescue them. Sci-fi chaos. Dystopian. Gimme. Okay, You Between the Lines by Katie Naiman is a romance debut that I am very, very excited about. This is about a former sorority girl who gets into a prestigious MFA program only to discover that one of her fellow grad students is a high school crush turned nemesis who can't stop writing about her. I love it. Okay, so this follows Lee and William, who I think goes by Will in the book, as they're kind of going through the program. I believe they get assigned to work together. Yeah, it says Lee's determined to prove herself and William wrong by landing the program's highly coveted fellowship, but Will's dead set on it too, and in a small cohort they can't keep apart for long. When Will submits an intimate poem that's maybe, probably, definitely about Lee to workshop, they're both forced to realize that there's more to the other than what's on the page, and what's between the lines may be even more interesting. I cannot wait. This sounds like a man written by Emily Henry. And if that is the case, I'm going to look forward to more books from her. Okay, next up, February 18th, I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com, another fun, goofy time for Miss Kimberly Lemming. I cannot wait. I believe this is about a woman who is getting her PhD when she's attacked by a lion. It says, on the bright side, she's saved. On the not so bright side, it's because they're abducted by aliens, and then we go from there. I don't want to know anymore. That just sounds so fun. Okay, we have The Love Simulation coming out on March 4th. This is the second book from Etta Easton. I'm so excited. I had such a fun time with her first book. So this is going to follow Roman and Brianna. We met Brianna in the first book. She was the sister of the MMC. And she is a principal at a school who just got... No, I'm sorry. She's a librarian at a school. And the principal just denied the approval for the library upgrade. And has decided to spend the money on a football field instead. And so Brianna sees red, literally. She throws her hat in the ring and joins a team of teachers who will spend their summer in a Mars simulation. As the sister of an astronaut, this should be easy, right? What she didn't count on was the last-minute addition to the team, Roman, who is the science teacher and son of the principal and too handsome for his own good. So now they're in close quarters, forced proximity. There's definitely attraction there, as well as some animosity. I expect this to be a very steamy, beautiful romance. Next up is the long-awaited Oathbound by Miss Tracy Deonn, which comes out March 4th. This is the third book in the Legendborn cycle. I'm so excited to see where we're going to follow Bree and Selwyn. I love these characters so much. I actually need to finish Bloodmarked. I stopped like halfway through because as I was reading it, I was like, we're a good 18 months away from the next book coming out. And I just know she's going to leave me wanting more. So I'm going to put this down and then I will reread Legendborn and then read/finish Bloodmarked leading up to that. So that's what I'm going to do in February, actually. It's going to be the Legendborn month, if you will. And then on March 4th, I'm going to catch me inside Barnes & Noble scooping up a copy of Oathbound on release day. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Another one that I'm hoping is wild because I loved In My Dreams I Hold a Knife is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. This is due to come out on March 25th. It says, it's the most famous crime in modern history, but only she knows the true story. After the unexpected death of her father, college student Jane Sharp longs for a distraction from her grief. She's become obsessed with true crime, befriending armchair detectives who teach her how to hunt killers from afar. In this morbid internet underground, Jane finds friendship, purpose, and even glory. So when the shocking news of death of 3 college girls in Delphine, Idaho takes the world by storm and sleuths everywhere race to solve the crimes, Jane and her friends are determined to beat them. But the case turns out to be stranger than anyone expected. Details don't add up, the police are cagey, and there seems to be more media hype and internet theorizing than actual evidence. When Jane and her sleuths take a step closer, they find every answer only begs more questions. Something's not adding up, and they begin to suspect their killer may be smarter and more prolific than any they faced before. Placing themselves in the center of the story starts to feel more and more like walking into a trap. I'm very excited. I love stories that have the potential for commentary on true crime and sleuthing and all of that, because I think we as a society have always been obsessed with true crime, but the way that we are talking and thinking about it now has adjusted, and I'm hopeful that that's the vibe we're going to get from that. Okay, Just Our Luck by Denise Williams also comes out on March 25th. I have previously loved a few of her romance novels, so I'm really hyped for this one. This follows Sybil Sweet, who wins the lottery and doesn't realize it because she accidentally leaves her winning lotto ticket at the home of Kieran Anderson, who has abandoned his dreams of becoming a doctor to come home and take over running his family's bakery. And he's exhausted. He feels like has a losing battle. He meets Sybil. They have a hookup, and she runs out the next morning, leaving behind her winning lottery ticket. So Kieran returns the ticket, but it becomes this viral moment somehow. And so now they're kind of thrust together in this fake dating situation as they ride the roller coaster of their recent fame. Coming April 1st from Miss Maya Ariel is No Ordinary Love. This is a PR relationship between a pop star and a pro athlete bad boy, which I'm so excited about. So this pop star, Ella, is in an 8-year-long relationship, a marriage actually, to a renowned music producer. And I think this is going to be a case of her trying to take back ownership of her music, but also leaving her husband. And while she's in the process of trying to do this very carefully crafted and really thought out divorce, she ends up entangled with Miles Westbrook, who is an MLB bad boy. And the last thing she needs right now, I believe, is publicity. And so I feel like this is going to be a really high pressure situation, maybe some scandal. I'm very excited about it. So also coming April 1st is The Last Session by Julia Bart. I was obsessed with the writing retreat, so I'm excited to dive back into another novel from her that is also writing based. It says, when a cat talk... Whoa, I can't speak. Not writing based. I think this is a psychological thriller. It says, when a catatonic woman shows up at the psychiatric unit, social worker Thea swears she knows her from somewhere. She's shocked to discover the patient holds a link to a traumatic time in her past. Upon regaining lucidity, the patient claims she can't remember the horrific recent events that caused her brain to shut down. Thea's at a loss, especially when the patient is ripped away from her as suddenly as she appeared. Sounds like it's going to be chaotic, which is a thing that Julia Bartz is very good at. Okay, April 15th is a big day for all of us cowboy-loving girlies because this is the date of the final Rebel Blue Ranch book, Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I am so excited and so sad. I'm so excited because I have been waiting for Dusty and Cam's story. Dusty with his slutty crop tops and his tight Wranglers, and I think he also has a nose ring. And Lila Sage says this man whimpers and begs, and I have never heard two things that I have wanted more. So Cam is Gus's ex and baby mama that we met in the last book. They have a wonderful, healthy co-parenting relationship, so I'm excited to see a little more of that. And then there is Dusty, who has had a thing for Cam for a long time. Cam's had a thing for Dusty for a long time, and I don't think they've ever gotten together. Suddenly now Cam is no longer getting married. Dusty's kind of there, and he's been running his whole life. And you're like, why has he been running? He's been running from Cam, kind of. And so now he's returned home. And the girl who was his first, well, everything has become a woman seemingly determined to keep him at arm's length. So I think they have had like a little bit of a past, I think in high school. And it says she was getting married after all, but now she's single and living next door. I love a neighbor romance. Oh, Lila, thank you for blessing me. Dusty wants to show her that they can be friends and that he can stay put, which is a very reasonable fear for Cam to have, given that Dusty, I believe, used to work on like rodeos and stuff, so he'd be traveling around all the time, and she has a daughter, so she needs a man with some stability. I'm so excited to see what happens with her and Dusty Tucker. Oh, so excited. April 22nd, If You Stayed by Brittany C. Cherry comes out. This is a story that contains tropes that I normally do not like, but I really enjoyed The Problem with Players that I read this summer, and so I want to give Brittany Cherry another try. It says, Gabriel Sinclair would forever be my first best friend, my first kiss, my first love, and my first heartbreak. The accident that literally took his life ripped memory of me from his grasp, and for the last few decades, I've let the guilt of that one terrible night keep us apart. It took me years to make peace with the fact that he would no longer be in my life, so when he shows up as the architect of my new home, my world's turned upside down. Now I'm trapped in a loveless marriage, raising a child, while Gabriel stirs up feelings I thought long buried. It feels like my soul is waking up after years of being in a deep slumber, and my controlling husband will do whatever it takes to keep us apart. I usually do not like romances that have possible memory loss, love triangles, or cheating. And I feel like this is a training ground for all three of those things, but I trust Brittany C. Cherry to give us a good story, so I'm still hopeful. Coming to us April 29th from Meryl Wilsner is My Best Friend's Honeymoon. I have had a really hit or miss experience with Meryl Wilsner, but I'm going to give her another shot. This follows Elsie and Ginny. Elsie was supposed to get married to her college boyfriend, ends up calling it off and goes on her honeymoon anyway, and takes her best friend, Ginny, with her. Ginny tells Elsie that she can have whatever she wants on vacation as long as she learns to ask for it. If she asks for it, she'll give it to her. And actually, if she asks for it, they'll give it to her because Ginny is non-binary. And Ginny soon learns that Ellie not only can speak up for herself, but Ellie wants Ginny. This sounds like it's going to be hot, steamy, love a tropical setting. This is going to be a good time. Okay, switching into horror, we have The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig, also coming out April 29th. This is the story of 5 high school friends who are bonded by oath to take care of each other no matter what, and they're on a camping trip in the middle of the forest when they stumble upon these stairs that seemingly go to nowhere in the middle of the forest. One friend walks up and never comes down, and then the staircase disappears. Well, now 20 years later, the stairs have reappeared. The group returns to find their lost friend and what lies beyond the staircase in the woods. This sounds scary, but I'm ready. Okay, May 6th, we have Parents Weekend by Mr. Alex Finley. I think Alex Finley is a man. Apologies for assuming your pronouns. Excited for a new one from them because I have loved previous Alex Finley books. It says, in the glow of their children's exciting first year of college at a small private school in Northern California, 5 families plan on a night of dinner, cocktails, for the opening festivities of Parents Weekend. As the parents stay out way past their bedtime, their kids, 5 residents of Capizzi Hall, never show up at dinner. At first, everyone thinks they're being college students, irresponsibly forgetting about the gathering or skipping out to go party. But as the hours click by and another night falls with not so much as a text from the students, panic ensues. Soon the campus police call in reinforcements, search parties are formed, reporters swarm the small enclave, and rumors swirl and questions arise. Libby, Blaine, Mark, Felix, and Stella, the 5, as the podcasters, bloggers, and TikTok sleuths call them, come from 5 very different families. What led them out on that fateful night? Could it be the sins of their mothers and fathers come to cause them peril, or a threat to the friend group from within? Ooh. Told from multiple points of view, past and present. I love that. I love that. I love a good thriller, and I love multiple POVs in it. I'm hoping for short chapters, because who doesn't love a thriller with short chapters? Next up on May 13th is Main Characters by Hannah Orenstein. This reminds me a lot of The Beach Trap, I think, by Allie Brady. I'll put the cover here for you to see. This follows 2 sisters, half-sisters, who meet for the first time at their father's cabin in Maine. They both have spent time at this cabin, but never together. One sister knew about the other one, and then the other one had no idea the other one existed. It is a story of dealing with the sins of your father, but also, can you be family after being separated for so long? One of them wants to sell the cabin, the other one wants to keep it and restore it. It's going to be, I think, a high drama situation. I'm really excited. Can't Get Enough by Miss Kennedy Ryan comes out on May 13th. I'm so excited for us to finally get the story of Hendrix Berry. She has been my favorite side character in This Could Be Us and Before I Let Go. I love the first 2 books in this series. And so to know that we're finally going to get her story, I'm so excited. This follows Hendrix as she hooks up with this tech mogul, Maverick Bell, who I think she's not supposed to want. And they kind of get into a back and forth, and I think he is just going to show up for her and really care for her because that's what Kennedy Ryan men do. Next up is The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. This comes out on May 13th as well. It says, one late summer evening in the post-industrial town of East Gladness, Connecticut, 19-year-old Hai stands on the edge of a bridge in pelting rain ready to jump when he hears someone shout across the river. The voice belongs to Grazina, an elderly woman succumbing to dementia who convinces him to take another path. Bereft and out of options, he quickly becomes her caretaker. Over the course of the year, the unlikely pair develops a life-altering bond, one built on empathy, spiritual reckoning, and heartbreak, with the power to alter Hai's relationship to himself, his family, and community at the brink. I think this is going to be really intense, but I'm very excited. I've never read anything from Ocean Vuong, but I've wanted to, and that premise is something I'm very interested in. Also coming May 13th is Julie Chan is Dead by Lian Zhang. Julie Chan has nothing, but her twin sister has everything except a pulse. So when Julie Chan, a supermarket cashier, finds out that her sister Chloe has died, she decides to take her place and take on her life. But what she doesn't realize is that Chloe may have died under more mysterious and sinister circumstances. And so now this is a haunting, more thrilling situation. Left to Forever by Tara DeWitt comes out on May 20th, and I'm so excited for the second chance romance. The story of Ren and Ellis. They drop their son Sam off at college in the Pacific Northwest, and Ellis tries to convince Ren to take a more scenic route back to California to their hometown. And no, that's a lie. Spoons, Oregon is where they live. They were in California. They're going back up to Spoons, Oregon. And as they're going through the scenery of California and stopping to see landmarks and sights, they're also trying to rebuild their relationship, kind of heal things a little bit. I'm so excited for this. Tara DeWitt shared a page and a half of the story on her threads, and that page and a half that I read had me absolutely hooked and chomping at the bars of my enclosure. I am so ready for this story. A much-anticipated story from B.E. Schwab, who seems to never miss, June 10th. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil comes out. It says, 3 young women, 3 bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, one grows wild, and they all grow teeth. I'm so excited. I believe this is a vampire story. It's fantasy. It's queer. Cannot wait. Also on June 10th, which I think is just going to be a big thriller day, is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. I have not really been interested in his last few books, but this one takes place on a train that has no stops, and it has a deadly game of survival and revenge, and that is just enough to get me interested in a new Riley Sager novel. On June 24th, Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell comes out. I still need to read None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I actually have it on the shelf back here. She is a author who I have loved previously, and I just haven't read any of her recent stuff, so I'm excited to read that along with Don't Let Him In, which follows a restaurateur, Patty Swan, who was the life of the party until the day a man pushed him in the path of an oncoming train, leaving his 20-something daughter Ash and wife Nina devastated. Shortly after Patty's funeral, the two women receive a surprise in the mail, a note and a package from Nick Ratcliffe, an old friend of Patty's, and a nondescript lighter that once belonged to him decades ago. This unexpected gift draws Nick and Nina close together, much to Ash's dismay. Martha is a small-town florist with dreams of expansion. She lives with her second husband, Al, her baby, and 2 sons from her prior marriage, but they never seem to have any money, and with his constant traveling for work, she feels like a single parent, especially when an emergency makes her realize something needs to change. But Nick and Al may not be who they say they are, leading these 3 women to a shocking collision course, wishing they had heeded a warning. Don't let him in. That sounds chaotic. I cannot wait. So coming July 22nd from Danica Neva is Love is a War Song. This follows a pop singer Avery Fox, who has become a national joke after posing scantily clad on the cover of Rolling Stone in a feather war bonnet. And she is getting a lot of backlash, both from folks who are native and not, and who have dubbed her a fake. And she's got all these threats coming in from every direction, and her career is kind of at a standstill. So she escapes to her grandmother Lottie's ranch in Oklahoma, which is on the res. And which is very new to Avery. She's never done that before, and not only does she have to work in the blazing summer to help earn her keep, but the man who runs Lottie's horse ranch despises her and wants her gone. Red Fox Ranch is the name of the ranch that her grandma owns, and Lucas Iron Eyes has been there since he was 16 years old. He's lived by 3 rules: preserve the culture, respect the horses, and stick to himself. So when he's tasked with helping Lottie's granddaughter, he is really struggling once he figures out it's Avery Fox, because he has a lot of complicated feelings about that Rolling Stone photo and her native existence. It says, it's clear Avery doesn't belong here, but they form a tentative truce as Avery will help raise funds to save the ranch that's in danger, and in exchange, Lucas will show her what it means to be an Indian. It's purely transactional, absolutely no horsing around, but where's the fun in that? Build a Boyfriend Project by Mason Deaver is set to come out. I have it listed in October, but Goodreads says January 1st, which feels wrong. So I'm going to stick with October because I have not seen anything about January. It says a wannabe journalist gets the professional break he's been looking for in the form of a sweet but inept young man who desperately needs to learn how to date until real feelings threaten to derail both his career prospects and the relationship he didn't know he wanted. I believe this is Mason Deaver's first adult romance. We have a new one from Samantha Downing called Too Old for This, coming August 12th. It says, Lottie Jones thought her crimes were behind her. Decades earlier, she changed her identity, tucked herself away in a small town. Her most exciting nights are weekly bingo at the local church and gossiping with her friends. But when an investigative journalist shows up at her door asking questions about Lottie and her past, specifically her involvement with numerous unsolved cases, well, Lottie just can't have that. But getting away with murder is hard enough when you're young, and when Lottie receives another annoying knock at the door, she realizes this crime might just be the death of her. I love the idea of our hero in this story actually being the villain. Can't wait. August 28th, we have Catabasis coming from R.F. Kuang. I am so excited. A Catabasis is a Greek noun, actually, ancient Greek. This is a story of a hero's descent into the underworld, which is exactly what we're getting. Alice Law has only ever had one goal: to become one of the brightest minds in the field of magic. She sacrificed everything to make that a reality, all to work with Professor Jacob Grimes at Cambridge, the greatest magician in the world. That is, until he dies in a magical accident that could possibly be her fault. Grimes is now in hell, and she's going in after him because his recommendation could hold her very future in his now incorporeal hands, and even death is not going to stop the pursuit of her dreams. Nor will the fact that her rival, Peter Murdoch, has come to the very same conclusion. With nothing but the tales of Orpheus and Dante to guide them, enough chalk to draw the pentagrams necessary for their spells, and the burning desire to make all the academic trauma mean anything, they set off across hell to save a man they don't even like. I'm so excited for this one. It's labeled as a fantasy romance, which are 2 things I'm coming to love together. And it's R.F. Kuang, which means the writing's going to be ridiculous, and I just can't wait. Coming September 16th is The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. I'm really excited about this one. This is a highly anticipated sequel to The Games Gods Play, and I would love to tell you more about that, but that would be a big spoiler, so go read the synopsis of The Games Gods Play, and if you're interested, please read it. Okay, we're coming to the end here. So, coming in October is Illusions of Fire by Nisha Sharma. This I'm so excited about. It says, unlike most of her classmates, Layla Bonzal doesn't roll out of her bed and head to school. Instead, she wakes up early, trains in hand-to-hand combat with her adopted aunts who, when not tending to their thriving vineyard, are immortal Rakshashi demons sworn to protect Layla. Layla is born into a mythical bloodline, one infused with magic, and entrusted with Lord Krishna's secrets of the universe. By all appearances, though, Layla leads a peaceful and protected life. But then Avi, the new boy in town, arrives and immediately seeks out Layla, which is concerning. He happens to be the descendant of a demigod. Both his and Layla's origin stories found in the Mahabharata, an ancient Hindu epic poem about the great war between demigods, witches, and demons, come crashing to the forefront. Magical powers are activated, dark forces converge, and it looks like Layla's quiet town in upstate New York might be the setting of the next epic battle. This sounds like it's going to be an incredible YA fantasy. I cannot wait to dive in. And then last but not least on my list, coming October 28th, is Bonds of Hercules by Miss Jasmine Moss. This is the sequel to Blood of Hercules. We are going to be following our heroine who has discovered her roots and is now living a very different life than she did in the first book. And I think we're going to get more trials, which I absolutely loved. I had such a good time with that in Blood of Hercules. Similar to The Things Gods Break, go look at the first book, Blood of Hercules. If it interests you, dive on in. The audio is fantastic. It was a great time. It's multiple narrators, full cast situation. Can't recommend it enough. So those are all of the books that I'm looking forward to in 2025. Here is a graphic of all of the books that are coming in 2025 that I know about and would love to share with you. Talk to me about the ones you're most looking forward to in the comments, and I will see you guys again in another video soon. Goodbye.